It's the first business day of the week. Welcome to Business Incorporated, coming to you live from Lagos. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago. On the show today, Dangote, Africa's richest man, rings the closing bell at the Nigerian Stock Exchange today. South Africa's board to review trades around Covent Garden's recall from an international investor roadshow. Plus, Egypt's markets falter after attacks on two Coptic churches left at least 44 dead. Let's get started now. We begin with the markets, and here in Africa, the market in Egypt was in the red at intraday after attacks on two Coptic churches that left at least 44 dead. The EGS 30 was down 0.37%. In South Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange was trading high despite the political tension there and the downgrade by Fitch on Friday. South Africa's bourse will investigate an increase in the trading of certain securities in the hours before former Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan was recalled from an international investor roadshow. Reports say the exchange would seek to identify activity that might warrant further investigation by the Financial Services Board's Market Abuse Department. The index was up 0.62% at intraday. Here in Nigeria, the all-share index was in the red at noon, down 0.50%. Meanwhile, Nairobi stock market closed up 0.24% on Friday. In the Middle East, all the markets were in the red at intraday. Shares of Abu Dhabi National Energy jumped ahead of most other shares in the region as last week's news that the company may have turned a corner attracted buyers. However, the market was down 0.58%. And the neighboring emirate, Dubai's index was down 0.32% as most large cap shares fell. The builder of the tallest tower in the world, Emma Properties, and Dubai Islamic Bank were each down 0.3%. Saudi Arabia's index was flat after 45 minutes of trade but dropped 0.11% at intraday. Qatar was down 0.10%. And in Europe, markets are trading mixed amid increased geopolitical risks as investors continued to digest the U.S. missile attack in Syria last week. Let's cross over to Frankfurt for an update with Conrad Bulson, DWTV Channels TV financial correspondent. Good afternoon, Conrad. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a beautiful week anyway. The G8, that's -1 foreign ministers, that's G7. Today begins a two-day meeting in Italy. Do we have a sneak peek into their agenda, and is the meeting a talking point on the trading floor today? Oh, well, we seem to have lost Conrad there. We hope to get back to him. We move over to U.S. now. The market index futures there pointed to a flat open today as increased geopolitical risks continued to dominate headlines, prompting investors to head for safe haven assets. Investors will be keenly watching events in Italy today, where G7 foreign ministers will begin a two-day meeting. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson may provide more clarity on an array of international issues, including the latest developments in Syria, following the U.S.'s decision to fire cruise missiles at a Syrian airfield late on Thursday. Elsewhere, the calendar on Monday is light, with no planned data or earnings announcements. The Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen will deliver remarks at the University of Michigan Ford School of Public Policy at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And in Asia, equities finished mixed today on the back of heightened geopolitical tensions after a move by the U.S. military to send an aircraft carrier group near the Korean Peninsula and a U.S. missile strike in Syria last Friday. The Australian ASX 200 bounced 0.86% to close at 5,912.90, driven by its materials and utilities sub-indices. The Kospi was down 0.86%, with China exposed stocks pressured following heightened tensions in the Korean Peninsula. Mainland Chinese markets ended trade lower, with the Shanghai Composite declining 0.5% and the Shenzhen Composite falling 0.978%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index traded 0.1% lower. And to commodities market now, oil prices were firm today, supported by strong demand and political uncertainty in Syria, although another rise in the U.S. drilling activity kept a lid on gains. Brent crude futures, the international bench oil, for oil, were at $55.39 per barrel, up 15 cents. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 24 cents at $52.48 a barrel. Traders say prices were being supported by strong demand and also political uncertainty following the U.S. missile airstrikes on Syria late last week. However, another increase in U.S. oil drilling, which has run up for 12 straight weeks to 672 rigs, the highest level since August 2015, kept markets from breaking last week's one-month highs of over $56 per barrel. And gold inched down today on a stronger dollar, moving away from a 5-month high hit in the previous session, although geopolitical tensions continued to buoy safe haven demand for the precious metal. Spot gold was down 0.1% at $1,252 per ounce, while U.S. crude futures had dropped 0.2% to $1,254. Spot gold hit its highest since November 10 on Friday and crossed the 200-day moving average, but it failed to close above that key resistance level. Away from the markets, well, looking at the bond market in Kenya, Kenya will sell 2 reopened 10-year Treasury bonds